We are going to jump into human figure drawing by learning about the idea of gesture drawing, which is a simple, graceful, and energetic way to approach the subject. So you're going to write these questions down on a piece of paper and answer them as you watch and listen to the videos.
Hey there, my name's Stan Prokopenko. Thanks for watching Proko. This is the first figure drawing video, and it's probably one of the most important. In this lesson, I'll be covering gesture. What the butt munch is gesture anyway? Gesture, rhythm, motion, action, flow. These are all words that are used interchangeably and they basically mean the same thing. They all refer to the movement between things. It's not the contours or the forms or the tones, it's the movement that connects the contours, forms, and tones. For example, if you have 3 balls, the gesture here would be a C-curve that describes the relationship of these balls. This would be the contour, but this is the gesture. It's simple to understand, but difficult to put into practice when you're actually drawing a human figure. We're so tempted to draw the details of the anatomy and all the little bumps of the contour because we think the details will make our drawing look better. But the reality is, the detail is nothing without the gesture. You might accidentally get some gesture while you're copying the contours, but I don't like to rely on accidents. A better approach would be to practice finding the gesture of the figure so many times that it becomes second nature. Quick sketch is a common exercise in art school that involves drawing the model from life within a few minutes. A typical quick sketch lesson lasts 2 to 3 hours with poses ranging from 30 seconds to 10 minutes per pose. Gesture is the primary concern. Doing this exercise will train you to see the gesture immediately. You can feel it. Then you'll be able to design the details to complement the gesture instead of copying details randomly. Your journey of mastering quick sketch will be a long but exciting one. There's a lot to learn, and every time you learn something new, your sketches will show improvement. Gesture is in everything, not just the figure. It's in the clouds, waves, trees, mountains. So basically, gesture is in everything around us. It's an approach to drawing that you can use to draw anything. Use gesture to tell a story by capturing the body language. We use our whole body, not just words, to communicate ideas and emotions. This is what the gesture should capture. What is the person doing? What is he feeling? What did he just do? Or what is he going to do? This could be told through just a few lines, which the viewer will recognize as the body and can identify the emotions the person is feeling, just like we can intuitively identify emotions of the people around us. It's a good idea to exaggerate the pose to tell a better story. As you become more skilled in exaggerating, you'll also improve in capturing the subtleties. You're probably thinking, Stan, is this another April Fool's joke? Are you drawing another stick figure? No. Don't think of it as a stick figure, because that could make your drawing stiff. They're not sticks. They're not straight lines. They're action lines. Observe the pose and analyze the movement. It's more about how it feels rather than how it looks. Later, we will add more structure to these drawings to make the figures feel more solid and real. So for those of you that don't find this inspiring and are thinking, I don't want my people to look like spaghetti, remember that this is not meant to be as a finished drawing. It's an exercise to practice a concept. You're training your mind to see rhythm in everything you draw. You're training your mind to consider more than just the contours when you're drawing shape. It's an important concept that needs to be intuitive. In all these drawings that you're seeing now, the element of gesture was applied to the anatomy to make the figure dynamic. Let's go over some important concepts to remember while practicing your gesture drawings. The longest axis. When you look at a form and try to find the gesture, look at its longest axis. Going down the length of the torso, down the length of the leg, down the length of the arm. It's in the longest axis of each form where you'll find the fluid motion from one form to the next. CSI. To eliminate unnecessary information and to capture that gesture, the lines you use should be simple. Don't use anything more complicated than a C-curve, S-curve, or straight. You can use combinations of these curves as you move down the figure, but attempt to do it in as few lines as possible using the simplest lines, C, S, or I. Line of action. Start by finding the longest action line of the body. Try to find a curve that could connect the head to the toes. Not all poses can be efficiently described with one long line that connects the head to the toes, but there is always one main line that shows a directional flow of the pose. This is called the line of action. In this pose, the line of action would be a C-curve, showing the major flow from the torso to the legs. But this doesn't tell the whole story, so this pose would need to be broken up. I think this sharp turn in the hips is important, so describing it with a soft curve isn't right. In this case, I would use a combination of a C-curve for the torso and S-curves for the legs. Relaxed and tense curves. The bendiness of the curve you use changes how the gesture feels. A longer, fluid curve feels relaxed and moves the eye quickly through that flow. As you start to bend that curve more, you show more energy and more tension in the gesture. Eventually, when it's bent far enough, you can use a zigzag. A zigzag indicates tension, sharp corners, very sudden changes in the movement. Nature presents this very well with water. When the water is calm, the waves flow in an S-curve rhythm. During a storm, when there's more energy in the water, the waves flow in a zigzag pattern. So when you want to create tension, think zigzag. When you want to show something is relaxed, use a flowing curve. The asymmetry of the body. Consider the asymmetrical aspect of the body from the side. The forms alternate in angle from head, rib cage, pelvis, upper leg, and lower leg. This causes alternating C-curves that lead the eye through the body, like a river flowing through a stream. The tendency for us is to make things symmetrical, but this stiffens the gesture and makes the figure look like a snowman. Next week, I'll show some examples of gesture quick sketches and guide you step by step through the process.
So in art history, the ancient Greeks first developed the idea of contraposto, which is what the second video is going to describe and show you examples of. Before the Greeks, artists made sculptures and paintings of people standing in a very rigid, unnatural pose where there's equal weight on both legs. The body is very straight up and down, but that is not a natural way that we actually stand. So contraposto gives a much more natural, dynamic, as well as relaxed looking pose. So I want you to answer these questions as you watch and particularly pay attention to the idea of the center of gravity.
The Italian term contrapposto means counterpoise. In this graceful pose, a human figure stands with most of its weight supported by one leg, while other leg just helps to keep balance. The axes of the shoulders and arms in contrapposto are not parallel to the hips and legs. That is why contrapposto is both a dynamic and relaxed pose. Many fine artists and sculptors, starting from ancient Greece and then in the Renaissance, used contrapposto in their figurative works of art. This pose is still widely used by artists today, so understanding its principles is as important as ever. Here are photos of various statues in contrapposto, taken in the museums of Florence, Italy. The red lines show the axes of the pelvis, supporting leg, spine, and shoulders. Let's begin with a very simple sketch. The horizontal line here will represent the ground level. The height of the figure is indicated by a mark on the top. The body center of gravity is indicated by a dot almost in the middle of the figure, In fact, it is located in the middle of the pelvis, slightly higher than the pubic bone. The spine in contraposto is curved. This is to balance the tilt of the pelvis and keep the body center of gravity above the footprint.